Everybody, welcome to the reliability stage if you've just arrived, and thank you for staying if you've just stayed. I'm delighted to welcome Jonathan Peedell, who is here from Bentley Motors. Hello, morning, do come in, grab a seat, but not at the back because we're being told to make people sit forward. So JP, is that how you prefer to be called? Perfect. Is a 30-year veteran of UK and European car manufacturing, having held senior maintenance and production roles for Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Motor Cars, BMW and Mini. JP is a multi-award-winning published author of white papers, frequently features in the media, printed, radio and television, and has also held guest lecturing spots at 3 UK universities. And you're going to have to explain this because this is literally reading off the sheet. Once launched a car in Asia covering 6 countries in 4 days. That's rock and roll. Didn't know what day it was for a month.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, kind of the background to that was when you go and launch cars, you have a very, very tight timeline in order to do that. So you find yourself traveling around. So I disappeared off to Asia. My itinerary, I think, was something along the lines of London, Dubai to Osaka, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Taipei, Bangkok, Dubai, back to the UK again. So yeah, very kind of 2 countries, 1 day, and yeah, kind of from there. But anyway, and so I didn't know what day it was for a month. Okay, so just a little bit of a background just while people are filtering in. As obviously Charlotte has explained, I have the privilege of heading up maintenance at Bentley Motors. And, you know, it's great because I'm a custodian of a great position in a great brand. But for us, you would think that it's a lovely, opulent, you know, company. We would have all the money that we need to do what we need to do in terms of asset management. And the reality is quite the opposite. We are a heavily marketing-focused business. We are based around our brand. Our brand means everything. And it kind of means that sometimes we're just seen as a bit of an overhead. And you've obviously heard about that today as well. Now, I am not here to give you an algorithm. I'm not here to give you a deep dive into AI or anything like this at all. And the reason for that is that when we all got together as kind of a group and a committee, you're going to get that probably this afternoon. And there are a number of vendors. Hands up if you are an AI provider or a vendor. Okay, so you might have to close your ears at a couple of points, but very, very valid. There's nothing wrong with, you know, whether you're homegrown AI solution or whether you go to a vendor. But this is more about kind of the 101. Some of it will be complete, absolute sucking eggs. Some of it will be interactive. So if you have phones and you have a Google account, so in other words, if you have a Google login, by all means, have your phone ready because we will jump into that. And as I say, any of the opinions I give today are my opinions. They are not the opinions of Bentley Motors. I have to do that for obvious reasons, again, being a brand business. But if you don't know Bentley Motors, this is what we do. So I'll be taking deposits out the back. I'll see you this time next year. Thanks a lot. No, I'm joking. So obviously we're very brand driven, as I've said, but we have a lot of legacy. So we're actually based up in Crewe. So if you're not from Crewe and you've never been to Crewe, it's the Saint-Tropez of the north, which it's absolutely not. It's a little bit like kind of Birmingham, but maybe a bit more run down. And some of that is because it used to be the centre of the railways. It was a very industrial kind of town. We're in the same facility we were in 1939. And some of the assets that we work with still being used today on the site are from the 1940s. So there's nothing wrong with them. They're well maintained, they're well looked after, there's no reason to get rid of them. But we also have this perfect blend of kind of new. Huge amount of investment has gone into our site, around about 3.2 billion has gone into Bentley in the last 2.5 years. That's a huge amount of money for a car manufacturer. As you can see, this was the site in 1939 in the middle. Exactly the same buildings are still in use today to build all our products. And we also have, obviously, a state-of-the-art, so the world's most advanced paint shop, which goes online Friday. It does its first car Friday this week. Now, what this means is a complete headache for us as asset managers and the responsibility to look after all of this, because we have very different pieces of technology. We've had to go to the 1940s assets, we've had to strap on sensing technology, we've had to find ways of being able to integrate those old assets into new. So our journey for the last 2.5 years has been to bring on board some of the sensing technology that enables us to kind of start building dashboards. But it's a huge amount of data. And the only way that we really can manage that data moving forward is through smart solutions using AI to a certain extent as well. Now, a couple of problems obviously exist, and one of them is this question around kind of the perceived complexities of kind of AI. We kind of have jumped a really big learning curve around AI. So we all understand AI, or we think we all kind of understand AI. We know that there are different types of AI that are actually kind of available, but very often we don't know where to start in terms of sifting data. AI is a very, very powerful tool for us. And in the future, it will be an even bigger and even more powerful tool. But the question, I guess, is going to be, how do you demonstrate the investment you're going to put into it? What type of AI are you actually going to introduce? So the big idea, basically, and like I say to a lot of people, this is just sucking eggs. It's just going to be sucking eggs. But it's a really important kind of learning curve that we need to go through with our teams, our staff, and trying to understand different types of technology. So we are still, by the way, at Bentley, a very, very heavily reactive and time-based maintenance organisation. So we've got assets that obviously predate kind of computers, and consequently, they're all on time-based assessments. So in other words, we just do it because we've always done it that way. So we have to fundamentally change the way we do it. But what AI is starting to give us is this ability to just fundamentally change the way that we work. Starting to look at the assets telling us that things need to be done to them rather than us just actually doing them. We actually cause more problems by maintaining equipment than we actually do by just leaving it alone. Particularly in older pieces of equipment that just don't like being taken apart. So this to us, I think, is a great, great opportunity. But do you all recognise maybe some of the logos along the bottom? Okay, so some of those. So it's really about understanding the different types of kind of AI that potentially are available to us. So as I say, predictive algorithms, everyone's going to talk about those a little bit later, how you manage your landscapes. That will be talked about in the deep dives this afternoon. But it's really about actually getting into playing with some of these solutions. MIT ran a little deep dive, and there's a lovely little white paper earlier on this year. And of the companies that said they'd implemented AI, 80% of them said that they'd seen no return whatsoever, no tangible return. So that tells you straight away that a little bit like the digital revolution that so many people kind of went on, it has tangible benefits, but if you don't define your use case initially, you may go down the wrong route. So what I would say is really understand, do you need to do it? is your AI going to deliver something that's very tangible to you? What's the advantage, and can you demonstrate that advantage to others? Because if you can't, maybe you're not really needing AI right now. I think the piece on the right is quite interesting. I saw that. I ripped that from someone's LinkedIn. We're on this journey, and if you're not on this journey, something's wrong. You're slipping behind. But that bit at the top is really important. Don't panic about AI. And the reason for that is that actually it's a lot further away than you think. So on the right-hand side is a present from Gartner back in February of this year. Don't worry too much about things like the quadrants or even the mass, which is obviously the size of those implementations. But if you actually have a look at it, at some of the models that you see, obviously generative AI solutions are here. They're here right now. We have them. We have language models. We have our Alexas, Home Assistants, things like that, which are at the lower end of this. But where it gets really, really interesting is when we move into this kind of sphere just here, because that's the point we start going into what we call strong AI. So AI at the moment is categorized into two camps, which you probably already know, strong and weak. So everything that we see right now is considered weak AI. It's not strong. It is literally giving us data, it's filtering data, sifting it. When we move into an agentic AI kind of solution, a proper agentic AI delivery, that's when we start moving into the strong AI world. And the definition, obviously, of strong is obviously the ability to replicate the cognitive abilities of a human being. So this is where it will define, it will make the definitions for us. Let's say, for example, you have a sensor on the wall. Right now, I can have a sensor on the wall, a thermostat, and I can have an air conditioning system. And I can, when that sensor triggers, I can build myself a little algorithm in low code that turns on the aircon system. What we're talking about with the true agentic system is it will know what assets it has available to it, and it will write that, and it will make that decision. It won't need any programming, any decision making, it will do it itself. But don't panic, because you're talking 3 to 6 years. So, if you're not on the journey right now in terms of AI, it's not a problem. I genuinely don't think it's a problem at all. So, you probably all use AI. So, how many of you use AI right now in your daily business? Okay, cool. And obviously, there are really kind of 3 core elements to the AI that we use in maintenance. The first one, obviously, is machine learning models. They, as it says there, the workhorse of predictive maintenance. The majority of systems that would be offered, sensing technology, will have some form of machine learning inside them. It understands that, on a December cold morning, it will be noisier. It will have more vibration than it would do maybe on a Tuesday afternoon in July. So these models are always learning. And as I say, machine learning has been there for some time. A lot of people don't really associate that with a facet of AI. Computer vision systems, for me, these are really exciting. So these give us the ability to almost replace a lot of sensors and counters just from a video camera footage and feed. So there are lots of companies, you'll see a few startups that in the last 2 years, 3 years, that have been working on systems to look at multiple different inputs from a camera feed. So you're looking at the number of times a press goes up and down, the number of times an operator goes through the door, the number of times you see a cyclic push out from that press. So you can get 20, 30, 40 different outputs just from watching one camera feed. You don't need sensors, technology, etc. to do it. It's really interesting. And then we move into, obviously, the natural language processing. So not neuro-linguistic programming, but natural language processing. So as you probably know, this is the overarching umbrella that covers over the top of things like large language models, small language models, the things that we have on our mobile phones. So tools at the moment, they tend to be cohorted by the environment you work in. So that is just so these are the top used tools. It's certainly in large language models. And as you can see, you've got people like OpenAI at the top. So this is your ChatGPTs, etc. Manufacturing, interestingly, the largest used model in manufacturing is Microsoft Azure. So who's in the Azure marketplace right now? Okay, surprising actually, it's only kind of one hand. But because manufacturing's traditionally been a very kind of Microsoft-based business and sector, this is the reason that it's primarily the number one tool that has just migrated across, and it's the number one used AI tool within the manufacturing sector at the moment. Now, if you've got a phone, we can have a little practical example. So how many of you use large language models frequently? Okay, so it's only 5 or 6 people actually, 7 people. Good, okay. So first of all, if you have a Google account, this will work very seamlessly, and it should do. First of all, none of this data goes anywhere. It's your account. It is unique to you. It's cohorted to you. I can't see anything. Nobody else can see anything. It's purely yours. But what we have here is a specialized owner's manual. Now, I've deliberately picked this because this is 1,600 pages of multiple different languages with different elements from graphics right the way through to procedures, maintenance procedures, etc., etc. And if you scan that top QR code, you can download that to your phone if you want to do that. And then the QR code underneath it is Notebook LM. Now, Notebook LM is a large language model from Google. It's completely free. And as I say, it's cohorted to you. So if you obviously go through a login, that information is completely unique to you. But if you don't want to do it, don't worry. But we can certainly play along. So if I go back, does anyone need that? Okay, so if you then open up that link, you will obviously come to a page. You will come to, on your phone, an input page for Notebook LM. And if you scanned and you downloaded the manual above, or if you have a manual or you have anything on your phone, you have the ability to click an add button and pull that in to the model. Now, as I say, all of this is sealed within your cohort, so none of that becomes public information, so don't worry about that at all. And then what you will see, obviously, is an overview, a very simple overview of what that document actually is. So it's very clear, it does a very clear skim of 1,600 pages, and it pulls out what it thinks that document actually is. Is anyone playing along with it, or are you? Okay, no problem. So you can then ask it questions, anything you want. So 7 words, I've asked it simply 7 words. It's gone off and created me a how do I service the bike monthly. So this is just very, very basic stuff, so you can understand it. And what you see is a breakdown of probably, I think, around about 4 or 5 pages of information that's come from that manual, just sequenced out. And what you see with the numbers are the reference points. So if you clicked on those numbers, it would take you to that portion of the manual that you would then be able to see and actually check that that data is good, true, and honest. If I wanted to filter it even more, and I asked it another question, just create me a check sheet prior to using the bike, it would come back and say, well, yeah, okay, here would be a pre-ride check sheet. So this is what we would suggest that you do. Now, it doesn't say, obviously, this is what you do prior to riding the bike every time, but it does say, before every ride, we would suggest that you do. So the AI has done a little bit of adaptation to it, and it shortens it down, but that's just 18 words. That's all it is to try and get that information. If you then jump back into your home page, you have another range of tools on the right-hand side, and one of them is a video overview. And if you were to click on the video overview, you would generate this. So, any sound? Sound. So, okay, it should run with sound, but anyway. So what it will actually do is it will play you a video. It will create a video based ultimately on what you have and what you've created. So anything coming out? Okay, it is playing. But these are really, really clever ways, completely free, to generate pieces of training material. So if you want to make something very, very interactive from just a manual, you can do that, or just elements of the manual. And they're massively overlooked tools. So at no point whatsoever have we touched anything else other than ask it 18 words, 18 questions. And it will go all the way through, and as I say, there are sounds behind this, there are sound snippets, etc., etc. Okay, now if I wanted to go on a stage further, I wanted to do more interactive things, I could drop into another system. I could drop into, say, VO3 or one of the other proper video editing tools. And with this, all I need to do is ask it to create me a video and then copy some of the script from the manual that we just saw. So copy, cut and paste, nothing more than that. And ultimately, what it would give me is, it would give me a video.
A significant caution associated with disc brakes is that they can become extremely hot with extended use,
So
and you should be
obviously all
careful
of
not
that
to
is
touch them.
completely made up. That video is completely from AI, completely generated. He doesn't exist, the bike doesn't exist, all of the background doesn't exist. And all I asked it was this piece of information here. So it must be a specialised mountain bike. It's got to be a guy servicing it. It's got to be adjusting the brakes. He's got to have an Allen key. There needs to be tools in the background. The more detail you put into a model, the more you'll get out of it. So all I'm saying is really use some of these solutions as best you possibly can. The key is, does everybody understand the differences and the technology that's available? We tend to go straight for predictive algorithms. We go straight for very complex models. But the reality is that AI really isn't a kind of mystery. It is just an algorithm. It is just a little bit of data. So if you're going on that journey, go on that journey certainly with your IT departments. It's really, really important that they're onboarded. Particularly at the moment, lots of IT departments are particularly scared, maybe certainly in my industry with what's gone on recently with JLR. Definitely learn more about the solutions. Speak to your teams. I guarantee there will be a few people within your organisation, within your functions, who probably need to get out a bit more, but they understand AI to quite a high level. They understand what's available, they understand how to use it, what the pitfalls are, the requirements are. Always use, if you're going to play any anonymised data, be careful of the systems, obviously, that you implement and you test with, and then just check any outputs. Whatever you do, check all of the outputs that come from it, just to make sure you're verified, you're comfortable with the AI solutions you're using. And the rest of it is really just go and do it. I think you'll learn far more by just playing with AI solutions than you will anything else. AI isn't dangerous. It's people that use it that are dangerous. If you trust it, you believe it too much, then obviously that is a problem. But just for fun, you can just change, for example, that last video and just say, I like it, but let's put it on a super yacht and do something else with it.
A significant caution associated with disc brakes is that they can become extremely hot with extended use, and you should be careful.
Training just by using a piece of very simple software, and all of that is free, by the way. That little delve into VO3 is actually kind of free if you want to do it for a month. Just give it a go and play with it, definitely. Cool. That's it. Thank you very much. I'll be taking more deposits for Bentleys at the back. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jonathan, are you happy to take any questions? If you'd like to ask a question, I have to scuttle over with a microphone, because so it picks it up, which I'm not sure it is anyway. But is it? Okay, super. Does anybody have any questions? Don't be shy. Excellent. We have a question. Hang on, I've got to get to you to the microphone.
So with implementation of AI, because it's recently new, do you have best practices or standards which you use like for prompt engineering, which would suggest to your reliability engineers what to put in AI to get the best results?
Yeah, so obviously it's a whistle-stop tour. I'm quite lucky. I've got a team of people around me who are very, very good at this type of stuff, and have played with absolutely everything, as you can imagine. So what we did on there, by the way, was just very quick. It took about 20 minutes to do all of that. And in terms of the practice that we go through at work, we have cohorts of information. So AI obviously can reference, it can only reference what it needs to reference. So what we've started doing is cohorting manuals to certain buildings. The reason being that when we set the models up to actually go and create us a check sheet, something we can create and then push into SAP, right the way through to whether it be an info share or a safety briefing or a yellow page, as we call it, we put on the product itself. We use AI to extract all of that information. But it's really, really important that you have a cohort that you push it into. Otherwise, let's say, for example, you have a KUKA robot in one building, and it's a different generation to a KUKA robot in another building, and you ask the model to give me a servicing schedule for a KUKA robot. It may pick an old hydraulic robot and the servicing schedule for it, rather than actually using the exact manual that you would need in terms of the right detail and the right content. So what I would say is there's no defined documented model as such, but the most important thing is set your cohort. Where's your data going to be stored? That's all. Cool.
My question is not so much about the technology, but about the structure that the impact on your organizational structure that you might have to change with the introduction of AI. Is there anything you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of structure, it's not so much the structure, but it's the skill set. So, our AI isn't there to cut people. Obviously, my finance department think it is, but what it was there to do is give us more time to focus on the things that we need to focus on. We're onboarding, as I say, 2 quite sizable new buildings. Ordinarily, all our preventative maintenance activities are written by 2 or 3 people. So, a 4-story paint shop is going to have an awful lot of work that needs to obviously go in, whereas with a piece of AI, then what we're doing is we're building all our preventative maintenance documentation, and that we are then checking it. So, it should easily take out half the amount of time, and this is the way we've started to build that approach. But the skill set is really, really important. And as I say, you have to go back to basics. Literally, you have to do kind of what we've just done in sort of 20 minutes to actually say, do you actually understand the differences between the different types of AI? And you'd be amazed if you probably asked a good chunk of people at the conference today, what's the difference between generative AI and agentic AI? You probably wouldn't know. And we understand what AI is and we understand what it would do, but not many people actually really understand the nuances of what it is, and the different types. Cool.
Okay, thank you very much, JP. Unfortunately, we haven't got any more time for questions, but please do complete your evaluation form on the app about JP's presentation. And I hope you know this, that you will be available at 12:50 in the Pro Reliability Knowledge Pavilion, which used to be called Speaker's Corner. Pass. I'm sure they'll provide something. But thank you again very much for your presentation, and look forward to seeing you later.